to Adventures with Edna. I'm Chris. Chance is unfortunately sick this weekend, so he's at home, so we hope he is feeling a little better maybe tomorrow. Today, we're actually headed out to the Cowpens battlefield, where they're having the 245th anniversary of the Battle of Cowpens. They're going to be doing reenactment stuff out there and having, is it called an actor when they're reenacting? Are they still called actors? Or are they called something else?
I think they're called actors.
Okay, so yeah, it's going to be a little cold out there today, but they have actors out there portraying people from the Revolutionary War. So hopefully we'll get to go out there and learn some stuff and have a little bit of fun. So if you're a history buff, you're definitely going to want to check this one out. So let's go. Yeah. Wonder if something cool's going on. Is that the warming tent? Oh no, that's where they're playing the video. Greek ceremony gathering area. No. No. You ready to join the military?
No.
Why?
Because I don't want to.
Why not?
Because I don't want to.
How are we supposed to get rid of you?
I don't know.
Where do you think he got those blue socks? I thought you were the expert. Didn't you do a bunch of homework before we got here?
No.
Why not?
Because it's the weekend.
So, you can still do homework on the weekend.
No.
Let's go check out one of these tents.
I think I see where the fire is.
Look, he's got his socks on the wrong side of his pants.
Those aren't socks. Those are military socks.
Military socks?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
They're supposed to keep you warm. That kid just did the best move I ever saw.
Yeah?
Yes.
Carolina Indian Traders.
It's from 1670.
I'll use some money.
It's from 1670.
Stuff like that. You know, it belongs to
Gorgons.
books. Yeah. I think that's cool. That man taught well.
Yep. And I've met him from one end to the other.
Yeah.
Of course,
So far, it's not that bad.
You write this book?
I did. All of them. The middle one's about what we're talking about here. And then on the far end is short stories about historical fiction.
Oh, yeah. What's your next event? There's a bunch of stuff going on, I know that.
Yeah, whether you like it or not.
Well, let's,
It's just right. I saw a cannon over there.
watch your bag, don't
Are they going to shoot it?
I don't know. I think it's an old cannon from history. It came back from
See,
history.
you guys are camping out.
Yeah. They're gonna sleep overnight here. I don't know how though. They're supposed to have like several blankets. There's hay in there.
Is what?
There's hay.
Hey, who?
Over the
What's that? We want to get the drum part.
They don't go home.
Yeah.
An owl goes
Are the leg things
I'm
something?
just making stew over there.
Yeah, so
Is it jambalaya?
No, we're aware.
I don't think they had jambalaya back
So if you live
They
in
had
Walker County,
Hi guys.
County,
How you doing?
Good.
How about you? Good.
And seems like you are on YouTube. If you're called up to militia,
He is. Oh, I thought he's Edna.
She's just representing.
I see. You just got the swag. You're gonna be out in the woods for a while. Around
Do you have any questions for us or anything you want to know? Even though he's on YouTube.
Just looking around.
Okay. Well, that's all right. You guys can look around all
You could ask something.
I don't mind if you don't have any questions. You can just kind of check it out.
So
See what you think.
when Native Americans make contact with Europeans, they're wearing them.
Why are you so quiet now?
Europeans have all these trades of wool. And so very quickly they start trading and making leggings out of wool. So if white men occasionally go out to dress because they're in a new country, when they do that, that often means they're not wearing pants, they're wearing just a cloth covering their parts.
I thought that was kind of cool. He's cooking his own food over there.
The corner with the rock out in the middle of the river.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I used to do silver.
Oh, fabulous. That's how this unit
It's like dried beef.
Oh, really?
we were doing since North Carolina.
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
The 100-year anniversary of the Civil War. And then when the Civil War was over,
So today, our impression is, it's an impression that you don't see at Living History events very much, because we don't know a lot about the people who we're portraying, but we're portraying the refugees that were displaced during the American Revolution here in the South. One of the distinctive characteristics of the war in the South is the fact that most of the battles were these small little skirmishes between small groups of militia, Tory or Loyalist versus Whig or Patriot. And there were dozens of them all across North and South Carolina. But the problem was that these little battles happened in large part at people's houses. So you have a family who lives there, and these battles are happening around their houses, because a lot of the time the husband is involved with the militia, and so it sparks these conflicts. And so in South Carolina particularly, you have a large population of people who find themselves displaced, whether it's because there is an enemy force coming through that is hostile to you, or there's a friendly force coming through who is hungry and have horses that they have to feed. And so you have people being driven away because of danger, and people who are literally being eaten out of house and home. And when the army eats all your corn and all your wheat, and you don't even have seed for next year, you can't stay. You have to go somewhere else. And so there's not a lot of research that we've been able to find about the refugee experience. And so we've done a lot of research about what home life was like in the 18th century. And from that, have made our best educated guesses about what a refugee might take with him or her when they have to leave. With the very real possibility that when they come back, their home may be gone. And so we've got some things here that fall into, there's like 3 criteria. First of all, they're thinking about things that are practical. What do you need on the road with you? You need food, and you need a cook pot to cook that food, and you need fire starting materials so that you can get a fire going to cook your food. They're also thinking about stuff that's precious. What are things that you don't want to leave behind because you don't want it destroyed or you don't want it stolen? Some of the precious things that I brought this is highly impractical for the road. It is big and it is breakable, but a picture like this could have been an artifact that my grandmother brought over from Scotland, and she carried it with her from Philadelphia down the Great Wagon Road, and it's the one artifact we have left from her, and so I want to take this with me because it means something. People would also
But I think it's so great that like so many people
take their family Bible. This isn't just for spiritual instruction, but a lot of times people would have these family Bibles and they would record people's birthdays. They would record when people got married. They would have the grandparents' names, the great-grandparents' names. And so this wasn't just for spiritual instruction. This is also your family history. And so this is wildly impractical to take on the road. But again, it's one of those things, it's too precious to leave behind. But the big factor, and this was the case for most refugees, is you're only going to take stuff with you that you can carry on your back. Most people aren't piling up a big wagon with all their household belongings. They're not pushing a wheelbarrow. They are literally putting things in bags, putting things in baskets, rolling things up in bedrolls, and putting it on their backs and carrying it. And over time, as you're walking, those things get heavier and heavier, and you have to be realistic about what you can continue carrying. For example, this is my little cook pot right here. And this is a typical pot that you would see in a household. It's cast iron. It's a cute little pot-bellied black cast iron pot. Would you like to hold that? Now be careful, it is heavy.
Don't be weak now.
It's surprisingly heavy.
You got to be able to carry that far.
Yeah. Mom, would you like to try?
Right by the stadium at one point. When I grew up, I grew up, they lived right by Joe Robbie.
Just that little pot. I've actually weighed this. This little pot weighs 12 pounds.
Oh, wow. That's heavy.
And this has nothing in it. And so when you take this with you, this is not like a basket that you can just load down with stuff. Like, this in and of itself is the thing. You cannot add weight to this because it will become impossible to carry. And so you have to think about those things. Now, we're really fortunate in 2026 in the United States that we are not in an active combat situation where we are having to make this kind of a choice. But there are some examples today that are kind of similar to this. Imagine next fall you hear the state tells you that you are currently in a hurricane evacuation zone. There's a hurricane coming and you are in the evacuation zone and you have to leave. You don't have a choice. Like, they're going to come in and make you go. So what do you take? If you think about your house right now, if you had to make that decision, what would you take with you? You would have to think about things that were practical. You want to take the birth certificates, or you want to take the deed to the house, or whatever. You're going to think about things that are precious. Like, if you've got family pictures, if you've got things that you could not replace if you come home and your house is gone. And then you have to think about, how are you going to transport this stuff? Do you have a giant truck? Do you have a little car? What do you have that is going to enable you to carry things with you? And so that's how people had to think. And I always like to tell our visitors that people in the 18th century are really no different than us. If you find yourself in a situation like that where you have to go, it is going to be very frightening, and it's going to be highly emotional, because there's a possibility that you'll come back and everything that you have is gone. And so how are you going to think about it? What decisions are you going to make? And so these people, historically, they were faced with those same choices. And this isn't just a patriot or a loyalist thing. This didn't affect one side and not the other. This was everybody. Everybody, any side that you were on, could be faced with a choice like this, just depending on where you were and where you lived. So anyway, that's what we've been talking about today. Yeah.
Henley, we'd have to leave you.
No.
You wouldn't get to come. Okay. She said only valuable things.
I am valuable. I'm the one and only Henley.
She makes a good point. She makes a very good point. And she looks strong. She could carry some stuff with her.
I know. It's crazy.
Sure, you're good for 1 or 2 fire logs.
Put you in charge of the pot.
You wear it on your head.
So do y'all have any questions? Anything else I can tell you about? Maybe something that's on the blanket that I didn't tell you about, because we have a lot of stuff out here.
Is that like a dried meat there?
It is, yeah. That is salt pork that Brett salt cured. He started it last January.
Oh, wow.
So it is. He did it for real. We've been nibbling on it all day. But yeah, they would have carried pork products with them. Pork was kind of the universal meat that most European people were eating in the 18th century. Pork is really easy to raise, and when it has been salt cured, it has a really long shelf life.
Yes, I was like, what's the migrant?
That's pretty neat.
But I think that's why I eat it, because my mom.
I can't believe it takes a year. What are you supposed to eat in the meantime?
Dad is
Well, you hope that the year before that you had been secure.
I think because my friends were from Michigan.
And that was something else, is that this war disrupts a lot of these agricultural cycles.
In South Carolina.
Sometimes soldiers would come through, they would eat all your food, and they would take all your seed corn to feed to their horses. Well, what are you supposed to plant in the upcoming growing season? Because in the fall, when corn is supposed to come in, you're not going to have anything to eat. And so that was something to consider. Or this time of the year, you know, we've been displaced from our farm in January. Well, January is when you're processing your hogs. So what happens if you're gone for 6 weeks or you don't get home until it's warmer? You're not butchering and processing meat in the summertime in South Carolina. And so what do you do when you run out of the salted meat from last year? And so a lot of times this disruption is not just about people having to leave home, but it's interrupting a lot of these very delicate processes that people depend on to survive. So there are ramifications and shockwaves that are felt for a very long time after something like this happens.
Well, we didn't know they didn't know.
You want to go see the horses?
The horses at?
They're over there.
You want to go see the horses?
Tell them to say thank you.
Yeah, don't be rude. Just walk out.
If you think of any other questions, you are welcome to come back and see us again.
It's really fun. We do all this stuff when I'm in Charlotte and not talk.
How else would he scratch his face?
With his hands full?
He don't got hands.
Are you sure?
Yeah. He got hooves.
That dude's hat.
Stuffy hat.
You want a hat like that?
No.
Why?
Think of how much that may weigh.
Might be light. You don't know. It's all fur.
Then try to hold the dog at me.
Put Abby on your head.
No.
They're digging him.
Why is the horse digging?
These guys look like they're dressed. These guys look like they're dressed like elves.
Yeah.
Henry wants to go see the cannon.
Yeah, me too. We want to see some stuff get blown up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Like from Rumpelstiltskin. It's interesting. I don't know what it is, but it's cool.
Is it really comfortable? What is a teapot outside?
No stamp act. It's a spinning wheel.
That's a spinning wheel. That one right there.
Didn't you ever see Sleeping Beauty or whichever one that was?
Sleeping Beauty. Do you watch Sleeping Beauty here? I don't know.
Has anyone ever told you how to look like Jack Black? No. Really?
I don't look like that guy. I don't look like that guy. He asked me if I look like, he said, asked me if anybody ever told me I look like Jack Black.
That's good.
Or he was just calling me fat.
All of this is our anniversary. Might be the candles. We make it this year. Yeah. $17.55.
That's pretty neat. Number 8.
Have you been looking at the towels on the ground? They're different towels.
It looks like that.
You don't want to put your face in the end of it? Just look down the barrel.
What does it look like?
See, look down there. Your whole face on it.
It's dirty in there. It looks blue. Why is it blue?
Copper. At least that's what it looks like.
I'm going to expect justice and I'm not going based on the limited information. I'm going to wing it. I'm going to wing it and then look at this thing for yourself.
That rifle looks cool there.
You don't buy on the fire.
I like the wood on it.
Lunch box, bayonet, or some sort of sidearm.
For a little bit.
So on and so forth.
I've never seen a big.
Just a, various things that guys would have originally carried. They're good for eating ice cream.
Long guns. Very long gun. And this thing was full.
have to keep it rolling. You can try it, though.
You remember in A Million Ways to Die in the West, when they were talking about having
your age to do it back then.
stick and hoop, and they're like, oh yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah, good times.
Mom, I think I'm gonna accidentally hit somebody. I'm scared about that. You're not gonna hit anybody. What, Sam? You should have. You didn't even get a do that.
Alright, do it again. I looked away.
You looked away?
I looked away. I don't know. You're not that interesting.
You can do it.
Like he tried to kill that guy.
It just takes practice.
Yeah, I could save a lot of money on that.
Ah, I see you with mommy.
You want a hoop and stick?
You're not supposed to step.
And then once you turn loose, you're gone. And so you try to hold on to it. And when you're fighting up close, if you notice, they did a beautiful job on the Patriot. They'd come down, he'd hit somebody on his right side with this, and then he's recovering with a knife. He can go backwards with this or come backwards with this, but it's almost like dancing, you know, with the edged weapon. And the edged weapon killed way more people in this war than the bullet did. So they just bristle with these edged weapons. And I was reading a story last week in Union County. These Patriots snuck up on some loyalists at a house over there, and they had a sentry outside. It's pitch black in the middle of the night, and they come up and they shot this guy up close as we are. Well, it was actually closer. They shot this guy. They bumped into each other in the night, so close that the flash from the pan of the gun caught his wool coat on fire. He was not killed. He got away. He made it to his horse and was riding through the dark night on fire with his uniform on fire. He gets the fire out, gets to this next place they went to, and they caught up with him, and they killed him then. But
might have got away if he wasn't on fire.
the thing about this is, and I love this today, I'm a people expert. I was a deputy sheriff for 36 years, and I'm always scanning when I go somewhere. There's several people come out here today, and I picked out their vocation. Lady was here a while ago, and I said, "You're a teacher, ain't you?" She goes, "How do you know that?" But here's what I saw today, scanning out here. This crowd was huge. Yes. This was a huge crowd for what we normally see. I was in the traffic for an hour and 45 minutes over there. I had to park way down there, and then had to walk all the way up here. But here's why these people are here. this is, by God, the anniversary of the United States of America coming up, you know, of the Declaration of Independence. And after what we've been through, not this year, but the previous years, liberty being taken away from us every time we turn around, well, by God, people came out here today to remember it, you know. So I'm sound like a free will Baptist preacher, but you know, somebody asked George Washington at the end of the war, and I used to help teach 8th grade kids about the Revolution, and I told them, somebody asked George Washington, they said, how is it an army of farmers can defeat the most powerful nation on the face of the earth? And here's what he said: no people can be bound to acknowledge and adore the invisible hand that conducts the affairs of men more than the people of the United States. For every step by which they have advanced to the character of an independent nation seems to have been distinguished by some token of providential agency. Now I asked them kids, I said, what's that mean? Somebody interpret that for me. And this little boy, 300 8th graders, he's in the back row and he's doing this. I said, you got the answer, say it out loud. He said, God. You know, I mean, all through American history, particularly of this part of it, the invisible hand reached out there. You know, in the next war of 1812, the Star Spangled Banner, you know about that. Well, that bombardment that's going on all night long at Fort McHenry, one of those 12-inch carcass rounds, cannonballs about this big, came off a ship. Hundreds of them came in, but this one comes in, the fuse is burning, it rolls down the steps to the wooden door of the powder magazine. Had that thing went off, there would be nothing left, you know. It went out. The fuse went out. And then the British column, this guy Ross was leading it. They're coming up the peninsula burning and robbing and raping and doing all kind of atrocities to get these people back for whipping them, you know, in 1776. And so he's doing all these horrible things. He sets fire to the White House, you remember. Remember Dolly Madison made off with George Washington's portrait there to keep it from burning up. A hurricane comes up, and the rain, torrential rain, puts out the fires of Washington. I ain't making this up. And a tornado comes out of the middle of the hurricane and goes right down through the column of the British Army, killing more people than been killed in battle, you know? Well, that's the invisible hand. I had 3 ancestors that fought here. Joseph, that's why I do this. People do this for different reasons. Some because it's fun, and it is fun. It's expensive, but do it for different reasons. And the reason I do it, I had 3 ancestors fought here in this battle. David Goodlett was 16 years. He was 15 years old until the day before this battle, January 17th, 1781. The day before was his birthday, and his father gave him a white horse named Selah, S-E-L-A-H. And his father's farm was at Mount Zion Church. You know where that is, in Spartanburg County, right over there. Well, right near that church is Fort Prince. The British had 2 forts in Spartanburg County. The old things like you used to see on the old movies with the logs driven in the ground with the sharpened edges up here, you know, and a parapet that goes all the way around. Well, he lived right there at the fort, and every time Tarleton came and went, and the other British armies, they harassed him, you know. And he tried to act like he was real amiable to them, and he gave them food and fodder for their horses. And his son hated that. He hated them people, and he hated that. But when he got that horse on January the 17th, the day after his birthday, his father went to wake the boy up. He's gone. And he said, I knew where he was at. He was in the camp with Daniel Morgan right here. He got on that horse and came here with his brother, William Goodlett. And they fought in the battle here. Both of them survived. The horse was killed, and I don't know all the various details of that. I'm always looking to see if I can find out. But they both survived, and they fought at Kings Mountain and the other 9 engagements in Spartanburg district back in those days. And had Robert Foster, my think he's my 5th great grandfather. He fought in Captain Joseph Dawson's regiment of South Carolina militia. And they were he was from Virginia. A group of them came from Virginia down here as militia and fought. So, and Tarleton had no regard for militia. You know, that's the way they said it. They said it like it was a slang, militia. But when he found out about him when he came here, and when he went to Blackstock's farm, but these old backwoods riflemen were deadly, and the metal these people are made of is what blows my mind. You know, you talk about tough. Good gracious, I was reading about Baron de Kalb last night, who was he was German, and he fought with Gates down at Camden, and he was killed down there, and he was hit about 4 or 5 times in the head with a saber, horrible wounds. I think he died 3 days later. There's a famous, when you get home, go look at Don Triani. If you're familiar with him, he's a famous artist, American artist, who does a war between the states and a lot of Revolutionary War stuff. And he has a beautiful painting that I came across recently, and I read the story of it, and the British redcoats were marching through Concord and killing as they went. And he watched them kill and bayonet, shoot his neighbors and kill them. And he lived on the road from Concord. So he takes off, goes home, and he's waiting for him. And this painting is Triani researched the scene. His paintings are like a photograph before there was a camera. And here this old man is, Whitmore was his name. And he comes out, he had seen them kill his neighbors, and here comes the column, and they're as close as us to those tents right there. He shoots one and kills him with his musket, drops the musket and pulls 2 pistols out and kills 2 more. They've got on him by that time, and they shot him and knocked him down, and then bayoneted him about 6 times. He was 86 years old. He lived. He survived. They walked away from him, thought he was dead. He lived to be 96 years old. Can you believe that? Now you talking about tough. And see, I have 7 grandchildren. Yeah, he's tough as a bilo steak, that guy was. But I have 7 grandchildren, and I want to make doggone sure they know about those folks, you know.
Yes, you should. Most definitely.
So.
Love to hear you.
Thank you for all this.
My pleasure.
I love listening to
I'm like a free will Baptist preacher sometimes.
All right, God calls you.
Because if you ever stop, you'll just be thinking about it yourself.
You're right. You're right. I want them to
pass it on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm being very good.
Appreciate y'all coming by.
Yes, you got to pick up some more drawing left off, right? I'm good at it.
You're good at it?
I'm kind of good. I thought I broke it.
Don't break it.
She wants you to make her one. Yes, I want the exact same one.
The exact same one?
Yes.
Did you get a couple pictures of it?
I took a video of her. I haven't really taken a picture of it. I got one.
We're going to play one more, and then we're going to take a little break. We will be in the big white tent at 4 o'clock doing an official type program. So please join us at 4 o'clock in the big tent over there. I think there are heaters inside. Hopefully it's warm. So we're going to play one more. Let's see if you know what this one is. I will do my homework without complaining. I will not do my homework without complaining. Well, make your bed at least 3 times a week. And always be a faithful member of the South Carolina. And always be a faithful member. Congratulations, you're in the militia.
I don't think the homie knows said no.
Smith, you will, I will say company dismissed. You will turn around, right about, turn around, facing the opposite direction when told, not before. That's my wife. And you will take a step that way and yell, "Huzzah!" Huzzah! That's like the radio. So, huzzah! That's that. All right. Company. Dismiss. Right about face. Take a step and yell, "Huzzah!" Now, turn your gun. Yeah.
So I haven't. Oh, that stuff's so good. So I haven't.
Don't get down to the museum. Become a Cowpens museum. You could be a Cowpens city. You're way.
Go on all these crazy adventures together.
36 and all that together. You can't get them on there.
I work for myself. I did. I lived at the coast for
Henley, come check it out. Henley.
They have an old sponge map.
Your museum will find
There's really old ones on the show. There's really old ones.
Look, Henley, it's a trash panda.
What happened?
They poked his eyes out.
My man gone.
You say my man gone?
My man gone. What is that? Yeah, what is that?
I think it's a raccoon.
Is that a raccoon?
Yep.
I thought it was a possum.
That's part of his tail, maybe.
No, that is his tail.
Somebody shot prematurely.
Did you see the coffee maker?
Yeah.
They have old Dawn dish soap.
Gotta be careful about how the
Nice seeing you again. It is. Over here. Yep.
Good deal. Stay warm on site.
What do these guys do? I got
Is that the base that they hid behind?
Yeah. It's camouflaged.
I don't look camouflaged.
It still look camouflaged.
I don't look camouflaged.
It just doesn't work if you're wearing something like red.
Hey, at least it's just my jacket. Oh, that would. Yeah, it wouldn't work ones who stayed here last night.
Hmm?
Feel bad for the ones who stayed here last night.
Yeah, really. Cold.
There's still 10 minutes. I see the sun. Right there. There's a window in that tent.
Luxury tent model.
I have a question. I missed the beginning. What is the purpose for all of this?
Humor. Talk about humor. And how to balance. It is a medical theory called numeric theory, which says the body is balanced by 4 distinct properties. And the 4 properties when balanced keep you healthy. When they're not balanced, each one has its own distinct symptom.
Okay, so like basically when the person is sick, you would just release
The bad humors. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does bloodletting have any real benefit to it?
In certain cases, yes. If you have a fever and you take blood away, guess what's going to
Last one of the day. We're going to do a weapons demonstration. And we'll talk about it real quickly, because I know y'all came to hear bang bang, not hear me go drone on. All these weapons work the same, but they have different features. In the 18th century, it was the flintlock. You had a rock, a flint, that was actually harder than this piece of steel, so when you pull the trigger, it shaves steel off, drops sparks into a pan where we put powder. There's a hole in the barrel. It pulls that flame into the hole, and it ignites the powder charge in the barrel, which is right below the ball. Now this is a rifle. Rifles were handmade by gunsmiths, Salem, North Carolina, Colonial Williamsburg, into Pennsylvania. Each one of these is unique. Rifles, every one of them was a different caliber. It depended upon the gunsmith who bring the barrel out and put the grooves in the barrel. So you had to mold your own round ball. You would put it in a greased linen patch. When it comes out the barrel, it's spinning, which gives it more range. So with this gun, at a much younger time in my life with better eyes, I probably could have hit something at 300 yards. The second kind of civilian weapon would be a Fowler. A Fowler is a civilian shotgun. If you were a farmer, that's the gun you'd probably have hanging over your mantle. You can load birdshot in it. You can kill a turkey for Thanksgiving. You could load patch ground ball and shoot deer to put on the table. You could shoot the coyote that's in your hen house. Or you could, well, you got redcoats to shoot today, but you can shoot the redcoat on your property. The military, and I'm going to let him speak about his, they use weapons made in Europe. He's carrying a British musket. We did have some British muskets. They're built on a pattern, so they're all extremely similar, but the parts ain't technically interchangeable. You do have to do some hand fitting for it. But I'll let him talk about the...
Sure. So thank you again, everyone, for coming out to the conference. What's this? Let's say it out loud. What is it? A gun. A musket or a gun, right? But I want to challenge you guys after this demonstration, when you're walking around, to think about this other thing, to ask people what it also is. I mean, if you were standing here in 1781, this is a weapon, right? The whole point of all this equipping, cargo capacity, and soldiers is to get really close enough to violence, right? Or to get close enough that you can do that with the bayonet. But that's not all that this object is. I mean, you look at these rifles up close, these are works of art, right? There's a lot going on here that's not just a functional piece of equipment. This is a product of industrialization in France. These are made in factories like we were talking about. This is a booming thing that's going to change all of our world. It's mass produce something like this. This is a product of the symbol of empire. You know, 15 years before this battle that happened here, Americans are fighting the French for 7 years. So what does it mean if suddenly you're an American handed a French gun to fight the British? It's a big, powerful moment. For a lot of people, these became symbols of memory of what the revolution meant. So when you go inside the visitor center, you walk out on the field, you can think about how the people from 250 years ago are long gone. But we get to get as close as we can get by looking at something like this, by hearing what it sounded like, by coming out to Cowpens, to thinking of them as real people who did not know what was going to happen next in 1781. What I think is going to happen next is that we're going to fire these muskets.
When we get done, please find one of us, any kind of interpreter here, and ask questions. We're here. We love answering questions. We all love this time period, or we wouldn't come out and do all this stuff. Please come ask questions. Thanks, everyone.
Fire. Judah right about. Hey. Fire. Look.
Is it the rain?
They're reloading right now.
That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's cool. Maybe it's not that loud. Perfect green. They're loading it here.
They're not just shoot.
Hey, ready.
That showing how the army in the old days.
Fire.
He said goodbye.
No, I think they just hit down.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to fire the big gun.
Is that Santa Claus?
This is the Cowpens Artillery, a volunteer group which helps the National Park Service out fire against Grasshopper, which is the nickname for this light 3-pounder. This is an exact reproduction of the 2 British guns that were here at the Battle of Cowpens. Both of those cannons were captured by the American forces, and reportedly every member of the British artillery crew was killed trying to prevent the guns from being captured. We are going to fire today with a crew of 6. Ordinarily this would have required a crew of 12. This Grasshopper is so called because when it fires, it recoils 5 feet and hops to the high grass. It's like a grasshopper. This gun is designed to be transported on horseback. The barrel can be removed and would be fitted to a special wooden saddle. The carriage, which is the wooden part with the wheels, would be put on another wooden saddle. Utilizing those 2 horses, this gun could be transported anywhere the infantry could march. So the utility, the advantage of this small gun is that it's light, it's portable, it's mobile, and it was much cheaper to produce than a large gun like the 6-pounder up by the visitor center. These guns were captured by the Americans here, but they were recaptured by the British at Guilford Courthouse in North Carolina. And we're not sure what happened to them. We don't think that the 2 guns survived today. They may have been melted down for scrap in one of the world wars. We just don't know. I'm going to show you how the gun is fired. When we fire it, it is louder than the musket. So if you have dogs, small children, just be aware of that. I am the corporal. My job is to direct the crew and aim the gun. I will fire the weapon by dropping my saber and saying fire. On a very loud battlefield, they would not hear me say fire, and they may not fire when they're supposed to, but they can see me drop my saber. The number 5 man's job is to carry ammunition from the ammunition chest to the front of the gun for loading. A battlefield is full of falling sparks and fire. So the black powder to fire the gun is carried in a spark-proof leather container. The number 4 man has an implement called the wad hook. The black powder to fire the cannonball comes in a linen cloth package, 8 ounces of black powder. It is loaded, and when the gun fires, you hope that all that cloth burns up. It doesn't always. So there may be fragments of burning linen left in the barrel. And if you load fresh black powder on top of that, it's extremely dangerous. So this man will use the wad hook in the barrel to screw into any fragments of debris and bring it out every time we fire. The number 1 man is going to fire the gun using the lens stock. That wooden stock has a slowly burning cotton rope. And he is going to use the ember on that rope to apply to the top of the gun, which will fire the black powder inside the muzzle. The number 2 man is holding an implement called the sponge rammer. At the front of the gun is a water bucket. He will keep the sponge moist, and every time we fire the gun, he is going to extinguish any lingering sparks in his barrel by running the sponge down.
And when we load the black powder and the projectile into it, he's going to use the rammer end to move the black powder and the projectile from the front of the gun, which is called the muzzle, to the other end of the gun, which is called the breech end. The number 3 man has several duties. If you look at his left thumb, it's covered by a piece of leather called a thumb stall. On the top of the rear of the gun is a hole. The vent hole goes through the metal into the interior of the gun. That's so that the fire from the linstock can be communicated down the vent hole into the main charge. However, when we run the sponge rammer into it, that's going to force air up the vent hole. If there's any spark in the vent, ramming that implement in will keep the spark alive. So the number 3 man's job is to put his thumb stall on top of the vent hole, keep it closed the whole time we're loading. If he doesn't do that, and he hears air coming up and down, everything stops. His job is to keep the cannoneer from dying in a premature ignition of the gun. He is holding a priming wire. The other thing he's going to do is run that priming wire down the vent hole and puncture the linen bag containing the black powder, so that he exposes the black powder to the fire, which is introduced with the match. He is also going to prime the gun using a quill. A quill originally was a hollow bird's feather. It would be loaded with black powder, put in the vent hole. The slow match would be applied to the top of the quill, which would shoot a flame down into the main charge. We're going to use a paper straw full of black powder for the same reason. It will be loud, so small children and pets, please keep them under control. Touch the rear face. Folks. Start the piece. At this point, the priming wire goes in the vent. The wad hook goes in the barrel to make sure there's no obstruction in either place. Advance, sponge. Tend, vent. You see the thumb stall goes in the vent hole to keep any air from coming up when I order. Sponge peak. So we've now extinguished any sparks from the previous firing. Handle cartridge. We have our black powder in an aluminum casing, which is much safer than a cloth bag. Charge piece. Ram down cartridge. Pick and prime. You'll see now the priming wire goes down and punctures that foil bag. And then he will insert the primer, the quill, into the vent. Take aim. At this point, the corporal aims the gun, using the elevating screw to change the elevation if needed. And my number 5 man will move the trail from side to side if needed. When the corporal is comfortable that the gun has been aimed, gets ready, and the number 1 man will watch him for the saber to go down. Fire!
That was loud.
You can see how there was a moment's hesitation there, and that's one of the vagaries of muzzle-loading artillery. It's raining and windy, sometimes that thing isn't going to work. Y'all have any questions?
We're going to do it again.
I invite you to come forward.
Their job was to drag the cannon out, so they had to then they would carry the water pump and the wind pump.
Fire would make them go back.
Do you actually fire something?
We're firing black powder. It's like a flame gun.
Cannonball. And a tin case full of 36 round balls called pins. These are two things that this cannon fires. We don't fire here. It fires a 3-pound cannonball. That gun up there is called a 6-pounder because it fires a 6-pound cannonball.
I was trying to get the cannonballs.
Our cannonball. It's fixed to a piece of wood called sabot. That's a French word. And what we don't have here is a bag. They had linen bags pre-made with different weights of black powder. So they had 4, 5, 6, and 8 ounce packages ready to go. And that allowed them to vary their...
I was just trying to see the cannonball.
It was not. Now, something called fixed ammunition. Fixed ammunition is ammunition where the powder bag is actually.
Tell you this story, the entire battle happened. Everything's done in 30 minutes or less, like a pizza. So the impact here is amazingly one-sided. The British have lost 110 men killed, 230 wounded, 600 taken prisoner by these swarming Americans. Meanwhile, the Patriots have lost 12. Not 1,200, just 12 for this entire fight. Now, there's about 100 men who are wounded, taken to a field hospital in Rutherfordton, or Ruston to the locals, up the road. They're going to be kept there for a couple months. But the numbers aren't the big deal here. The big picture is the hope. Those embers of hope that Kings Mountain kindled, maybe we can win, maybe we can do this, this fans that into an open flame. Not only is this a victory, this is a victory over real British soldiers, the flower of the British Army. This is a victory over the fixer, Bannister Tarleton, the boy colonel. One officer writes to Morgan and says, by having so fully defeated his army and letting him live with that humiliation, it's better than having killed him. Tarleton is all about honor and glory and reputation. This wrecks him. He personally writes to his commander requesting a court-martial to prove it wasn't his fault, and he goes to his grave thinking that. But this gives so much hope to the Patriot cause, it will never again be questioned who controls Western South Carolina. The entire British plan has to change because of their failure to secure the Western Carolinas for the king. This is a direct lead-up to what's going to happen later with the British getting weaker and further north, further east, trapped into the coast.
We'll put a pothole there.
Henley fell down.
We started out talking about why are we choosing to be here of all places on a nice Saturday. It's because this is where this happens. This is where obedience and rebellion clash. This is where loyalty, patriotism, all these questions met in combat. And we came out the victor. This battle was so important that it was first marked that we would never forget this spot by that weird lamppost looking thing in 1856. The Washington Light Infantry Monument. Concrete base made with sand from Fort Sullivan. A golden eagle on top of that metal post. That's no longer there. That was taken down for safekeeping. So safe you still can't find it. But from 1856 until 1932, this is all you have here to remember what happened on this ground. In 1932, the U.S. Army buys a little half acre near where Highway 11 meets Highway 110, where there hasn't been a house already, and they plant those magnolias behind me, those white sycamores, and they build that granite obelisk that's now out front. They first build it here. And that's all that's here from 1932 until 1970. When the National Park Service takes over, we buy up the property, we tear out the highways, we remove the homes, we restore the battlefields. And now you're here as part of that story. You are the next step in that tradition of remembering what happened here, of sharing the story, of continuing this great American experiment that started with the War of Independence, but continues every day where we live our revolution. So thank y'all for coming out. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I didn't make you wait for something else. If you want to head back quickly, you can go down that trail past the monument, through the tree, see the dip, the ravine where the cavalry were hiding. You can also go back this way, up towards the visitor center. And we only did a part of the battlefield trail. If you would like, you can keep following the gravel down, see some more of the terrain, see more signs, see the cane break. But thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoy.
Heidi, this is how I saw. This right
Raised mostly in New Jersey and New York from loyalists, and that's why they wear the green coat. They are what's called a provincial troop. So unlike the folks in the red coats who came from the actual islands of Great Britain, they are in the king's employ, taking the king's gold and fighting for the crown. On the very far end, your right, is a member of the 17th Light Dragoons. This is a regiment that was brought over around 74 to Boston to act as riot control and military police because of all the unrest that was brewing in the city of Boston. Those are professional soldiers from England, and that's why they're in red coats. Very well-respected unit. They had about 50 of the red-coated dragoons here and about 250 of the green-coated dragoons here. So if you look at the monument out in front of the visitor center, you'll see that total forces engaged here were less than 2,500, more or less evenly matched. Bannister Charlton, who was in the command of the British forces, had about 1,050, about 300 horses, he had 2 small cannons, and about 700. He was the lieutenant colonel, by the overall commander of the theater.
So those were the main uniforms that you would see as far as people on horseback at Cowpens. And then there was one other group that used their horses that you really would see. And he's kind of hard to see from here, but there's one gentleman representing, and he's wearing a gray coat and just has a round hat on. Well, that would be militiamen. So people who lived in their homes and they were called up to service, some of these units would ride their own horses. They come in, form their unit, but when they get to the battlefield, they go tie up their horses, maybe leave some people to watch them, and then they walk on foot and they fight with their rifle or a musket as infantry. And then their goal, of course, was to survive the battle. So many of the militia, that we don't really trust so much, were known to be quite eager to get back to their horses. So they would maybe fire a shot or two, run back, get on their horses, and leave. So that was the main types of horses that you really would see here at Cowpens. Now to get back to the maneuvers, where we had formed when we were in one line was a single front to fight. We had some other maneuvers where we could make it so we weren't as wide of a frontage, so we could be narrower depending if we're moving on a road, going through woods, different types of tracks. But when you get to that wide frontage, that's where dragoons really come to play with their #1 weapon, which is the one I'm sitting on. He's my transportation. He's also my #1 weapon. This happens to be named Natty. But you have the 1,000-pound horse, and when you put us tightly together and we come riding into people, especially those militia, if they leave any ragged gaps, that makes it so it's very easy to push the massive horses into the people. And quite often people, when they see horses coming, they're going to turn and run. And that's our favorite thing to do, is ride people down with a sword while they're forming and running, because it's hard for them to fight back at that point. But that's what Tarleton was known for doing, was he was breaking a lot of the militia here in South Carolina in a number of engagements. When the militia was formed, they could have a solid body, they had a chance to defend against the horses.
But with a lack of discipline, any braking makes some gaps, and the horses could really exploit that, break the unit apart, and once they lost their cohesion.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's adventure. We're going to head back home. It's starting to get dark out here. We had a great time checking out the battlefield and seeing all the reenactment stuff. The cannon was definitely worth watching. Hopefully Chance will be feeling better in the next one. Hopefully you guys like this little bit of history. Don't forget, guys, adventures are out there everywhere. You just have to find them. You can definitely check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Support us on Patreon if you want to check us out there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.